Hello, this Hangout on Air is live. Welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge, 5:55 a.m. Central Standard Time, December 20th, 2018. Okay, what do we have this morning? We have from 1939. Well, we don't know what year the whiskey hit the market, but we know the company was founded in 1939. Albertsons Canadian whiskey, a blend. You hear the Kansas City Southern Railroad. It's a little switching, I guess you call it like a switching area, switching yard. I got caught by that Monday. Oh, man. Train came down the track. Then the guy was walking along with that flashlight and then doing whatever. And then it backed up. It must have picked up what they had left from the other train. Then it took off. So it took about 15 minutes. So irritating. All right. Anyway, blocking the state highway. 3223. Okay. Albertsons Canadian whiskey, a blend. Okay. So someone, a viewer said he worked for a company out west years ago and they handled Albertsons whiskey. He's talking like 45 years ago, so it's probably been around for that long. It's currently produced in Canada by the Sazerac company for the Albertsons chain, but I don't think it's actually even produced anymore. This might be a disco, might have been discontinued. I think what they did was they got rid of all their Albertsons branded whiskey and converted it over to new private label names. Like there's some name for their bourbon at Walgreens. It's called JT Boots, Jethro T Boots. At Albertsons, it's got some other name. I can't remember. I might buy some this year. Might. I doubt it, but I might. And then it's probably the same thing or somewhat. And then for the brandy, they used to have Albertsons brandy. Now they got D.W. Anders and so on. So the Canadian, they have Canadian Crest you'll see around now. That's been on the market since 1987, but I think it's been put into play at all the Albertsons chains, the Super Value, Safeway, Jewel Osco, Amigos, down, so on and so on. There's so many grocery chains in this company. Okay. Whatever the case, doesn't really matter. I bought this for $4.99 at Albertsons on U.S. Highway 61 in Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge Parish. Not actually in the city limits of Baton Rouge, but everybody calls it Baton Rouge because it's the unincorporated part. All right. Purple, red, and gold. They're trying to mimic, you know what, Crown Royal. A tradition of quality since 1939. This it says, didn't say distilled by, it says bottled by County Line Distillers, Louisville, Kentucky. That's Sazerac. There's a big bottling plant in Louisville. Where is it? I don't know, probably near the county line. So let's look at this. And you even got the Canadian written in the cursive. I think, isn't that how Crown Royal is? Canadian once. Canadian whiskey, a blend, twice. Product of Canada, 3 times. I think they're trying to make a point. Okay. You say, I'm going to look that up on those review websites. You're going to be looking for a long time because you're never going to find it. I'm going to watch a bunch of video reviews for it. You can watch mine. And that's it. Okay. We have some viewers. Whoops. Come on now. All right. We're going up against from 2010 or 11. I can't quite. Viewers. I forgot to mute it. From 2010 or 11. Probably 2010, but could possibly be 2011. With that Crown Royal-esque cap. Where's the dawn? It's nighttime at 6 a.m. Tomorrow's the shortest day of the year, so you know how that works. And then then the days will get longer and longer and longer and longer and longer until June. And then they'll start up the fake time again in March, the what they call that daylight savings time, where they say it's a certain time when it really isn't, and the people like that for some reason. Okay. If the government can make you think it's 5 o'clock when it's only 4 o'clock, maybe they can make you think all kind of things like peace is war is peace, regulation is freedom. All right. Anyway, rich and rare reserve. Okay. Canadian whiskey, a blend. They're both 80 proof. Neither one has an age statement. This is $9.99 if you're lucky like me, but really it's $10.99 or $11.99 in most cases. So figure $11 or $12 approximately per bottle for rich and rare reserve. Hello, how are you? Says Rainbow Sky. I'm fine. I had a good night's sleep pretty much, and it's chilly right now. It's only like 55 degrees, but the problem is that the humidity in Louisiana is so bad that, or so high, I should say. I don't know if that's bad because some people like high humidity. But the humidity is so high that it makes it chilly, even though it may not be chilly at all. Old Forester is great. I guess I overdrank slightly. However, it was a glorious hangover for me knowing I tried a great tasting bourbon. I particularly enjoyed the smoky, deep smell. Yeah, I would advise people to be very careful with their quantity of consumption. That can be a real problem. Dawn Buster, says Dan Page. Yep, it's Dawn Busters. Hello, Dan Page. The milk says moo, moo, moo. Okay. All right. Well, time to get started. Is there going to be a big difference? I don't think there really will be. I don't know if Rich and Rare Reserve is so great. It's not bad, but has a pretty bottle and cap, but is it worth the money, extra money? We're about to find out. I think I enjoyed the okay, Rich and Rare Reserve. I enjoyed the Albertsons. Probably won't ever see it again. No big loss. $4.99. You know, it's not exactly a classic Canadian whiskey, right? I don't think 100 years from now people are going to say, read my book, The Legend of Albertsons Canadian Whiskey. Okay, we love to hear from our customers. And it gives you the Sazerac phone number, but it says Barton Brands. Barton. And that's who Sazerac bought in 2009. So they used to make it. Barton Distilling. The Albertsons logo are owned by Super Value Incorporated and its subsidiaries under license. Okay. And then we got Rich and Rare Reserve. Yeah, that's enough. All right, for this tasting. Well, they're both gold, a little amber gold. So the appearance isn't going to make a difference. They're both the same shade. This weekend, I plan to do the Canadian Crest, another Sazerac brand. Probably not too much different from Albertsons. If it's different at all, it may not be. Don't know. Then we'll get into the. May have to double up with all these holiday events coming up. Christmas, New Year's, that could really impact regular Dawn Busters, but that's okay. I could do afternoon Busters, afternoon. How do you wake up and start drinking at 5 a.m. and not realize you're a drunk? I don't know. I guess it's a gift. Okay. So the Canadian Club and the Canadian Club 12-year, and maybe even the Seagram's VO and VO Gold. I don't know. I have to figure out how I'm going to do that because this time of year you get scheduling issues, and then it'll get bad during baseball season too. But that's okay. That's okay. I think because these are normal things you have in your life, but I think I'll double up. There's going to be some double ups in the next week, 2 per day. But it'll still work according to my quota schedule. I don't ever go over the quota anyway. I'm up drinking if I'm not a drunk, says CS Nate. Well, you can't worry about all that. I mean, anybody can make an account, call themselves Dynamite Expo, and go around bothering people. But they're willing. I mean, if somebody wants to come on here live with their actual face using their real name, then we can really talk. But to entertain, that sort of internet malignancy, we're not going to do that. I run into that all the time. People say, let me tell you what you need to do. Here's the 12 points I have a problem with you with. A, your politics. B, your appearance. C, your time frame. D, and they go on and on. Now here you got to categorically answer all these questions. I said, well, why don't you come on live using your real name, and I'll give you the floor for 30 minutes. Now that's a bargain. No response. So there's that anonymity that gives people that feeling of power. But why should? But it's like that song from 1995, "The Illusion of Power." Okay. Yorn says, "Cheers, Ron, and have a happy and drinkable Christmas." Rainbow Sky says, "People get brave behind a fake name." You said a mouthful. All right. But when I started my channel 8 years ago, I decided I'm going to use my real name and my real face, because I don't go for that kind of like false bravado and all of these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to hide in the shadows and tell everybody else what they need to do. People took issue with Chad's beer reviews, and he was controversial and hard to deal with and prickly. If you made comments he didn't like, he would automatically get very hostile and whatever. But he did use his real face and his real name, right? So you have to give him credit for that, even though maybe you didn't like what he said. He wasn't out there hiding in the shadows. Now, Ruku doesn't show his face, and he doesn't use his real name, Ruku's Beer Reviews. But on the other hand, he's very pleasant and pleasant. He's a nice person. He's not out there throwing his weight around like Big Shot, like Big Boy, Okay, James P. Madonna talked about that too. People doing this and that, and he said, "Why don't you reveal yourself?" Oh no, no, no. No, his name is not Rainbow Sky, but he's not out there being Big Boy either. See what I mean? See the difference? But you have to be able to grasp the concept. If you can't grasp the concept, you can't discuss the concept, right? You know that old expression. If you're going to discuss the concept, first you have to grasp the concept. Okay. This is standard aroma, not a bad aroma. Standard grain alcohol. What do you expect? That's what it is. with a little level of rye spice. There's a peppery note. It seems to have some straight barley whiskey, which they would call single malt in Scotland. But this is not Scotch whiskey, of course. No peated. It's not being, there's nothing going over a peat fire. But it's the Canadian. It's we would call it straight whiskey here, okay, in North America. This straight barley whiskey. But that's probably only 20% of the mix is the barley whiskey, the rye whiskey, maybe some wheat. But it's a pleasant aroma, and there may be some flavoring in this. The Albertsons says they add flavoring. Could be brandy, rum, various wines. We don't want to go through that again, but yeah, it's just like bread. Think of a bread, cereal grains bread, with some background, maybe rum or wine aroma. So it smells very nice. And if that one is if that's the $4.99 bottle, that's a great bargain. I mean, you'll never get a deal better than that. I think this monitor is about to go out on this computer, so it's a shame. I've only had it 3 years. Oh well. I was hoping to get more service out of it. That's kind of irritating. No, okay, this has got to be the Albertsons. First sniff, this is Albertsons. I'm telling you, this is the Albertsons, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Albertsons Canadian whiskey has that strong plum wine aroma, and a viewer talked about that plum wine, and I'm picking that up. Okay, do they use plum wine? Heck, I don't know. You'll never find out, but it seems to be the case. Yeah, it's a PC. The computer's fine. It's just these monitors. Now, the plum wine dissipates, and then you get the grain alcohol. But that first hit is plum wine, I'm telling you. And then it's an underlying mellow, mild, if you want to say bland, plum grain alcohol. But nothing bad here. Okay. So I'm already telling you, and my right hand could be to your left because these things be like reversed and switched around sometimes. But that's the Albertsons. That's the Rich and Rare Reserve. I'm almost 100% sure, but I got to taste it first. I like what Michelle Steinberg told somebody on Facebook yesterday. You do you, and I'll do me. Okay. It's just that grain alcohol, somewhat sourness, like a sourdough, not like that. A little bread, like white wheat bread crust, though, not the wheat bread, the middle. It's standard. I mean, how long is it aged? It's probably aged, I'm gonna guess about the youngest whiskey in here is probably 6 years. I'm thinking it's probably 6 years, but I don't know. But that's a guess. Sazerac, you can call me if you watching. Jeff Knapp says, "Good morning, Ron." Good morning to you, Jeff Knapp. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Now, see, with the Albertsons, you get a more stark grain whiskey. Like grain alcohol, like a little harsher, if you want to call it, a little rougher. The top side of the taste is the plum fruity notes, which literally could be from fruit if it's plum wine or wine, fruit, right? Grapes, wine. Okay, so aging on this is probably the minimum of 3 years. So you're probably getting a very basic item here. Almost certainly for $4.99. How are you getting anything better than that? So, but it's not bad. You might think, oh, that's rot gut. Only bums or alcoholics that do wine tastings at 5 a.m. or beer tasting, what, et cetera, would drink it. Well, whatever. But It's pretty good for $4.99. So remember the Grateful Dead song, "Don't Dominate the Rap, Jack. You ain't got nothing to say." All right, so simple. This is a Rich and Rare Reserve, and it certainly is. I don't know if you can see that tag, how I put them at the bottom. See if you can see that. I can show it to you without spilling. Yeah, you can see it. See, I tape them to the bottom. There's too much glare. Yeah, you might be able to see that. R and RR, Rich and Rare Reserve. I just tape it to the bottom, and then I mix them up very well, and then I can't tell them apart except on aroma and flavor. That's what I try to do. So, could there be some way I'm cheating? Yeah, but who in the world would cheat? I mean, first of all, how many people are that interested in Rich and Rare Reserve versus Albertsons Canadian? You got to remember that. Take that into account. Secondly, why would you want to cheat? I mean, what would be the purpose of it? But I guess it's kind of like people that go and hire these services to pull a crowd, like get subscribers, but it's really what YouTube calls spam subscribers. They never actually watched the videos. In a way, that's like cheating. But they said they're going to remove all those people. I kept getting this alert saying, you'll notice on December 13th and 14th that your subscriber count could drop drastically because we're removing all these dead links. It's like accounts that are inactive, have been abandoned. They're going to remove those. That makes sense. They'll do that from time to time. And then they said they're going to get rid of all these spam subscriptions. Like somehow they have technology to determine people that subscribed on their own volition, and then these concocted spam subscribers are going to knock them out. It didn't really affect my subscriber count at all, maybe about 10. But I don't have that because I never would dream of hiring a third party to pull a crowd. But it could affect some other people pretty significantly, I think. If maybe a third of their subscribers are what you would call procured. But whatever. Remember, they had all those girls at the airport to greet the Beatles when they came to the United States in 1964, which was strange because no one had basically ever heard about the Beatles, except maybe some obscure newspaper articles or maybe some report at the end of the nightly news about the Beatles phenomenon in England. But they were virtually unknown here in 1964, and but all of a sudden, there's 2,300 girls at the airport screaming. And the Beatles were shocked. They said, we didn't know what was going on. We thought maybe the president had arrived at the same time. But as it turned out later, Brian Epstein, their manager, arranged it all, I'm sure in coordination with CBS, to make sure there was a good viewership on Ed Sullivan's show. They had hired the girls to show up and scream and made posters and all. So it was staged. Like much of what the Beatles did was staged, although they weren't aware of this at the time. Their management team obviously was. And so Beatlemania was, to a large extent, cultivated by pretty slick marketing operatives. So it worked. I mean, all of a sudden, the Beatles were the big deal around the United States, almost in a flash, sort of like Spice Girls in the mid-90s type thing. C.S. Nasty says, New Speedway Boogie. Right. That's right. Ronald, if I may ask, out of all whiskeys you have tried, which one do you like the most? Um, that's a great question. Which one do I like the most? I just don't think I can answer that question because I can't recall any that I like the most. They were interesting. Scotch, Canadian, Irish, American, but I can't say, okay, pinpoint, there's one I just love the most. I cannot say that. I don't want to just come up with something. No, I can't. I don't know. None, nothing, none. They ask me that about beer a lot. What's your favorite beer? I don't have one. I'm not trying to be flip or ugly about it. I just don't have a favorite one. If I did, I would. If I had a favorite beer, I would just immediately say that's my favorite beer. I have no reason to hide it. So anyway, this wasn't much of a challenge, and I didn't expect it would be. But now we got a more important thing to consider. Which one's better? Okay, so they don't taste the same. Okay, so you're not going to confuse these two. And I don't think I'm going to confuse the Canadian Crest either. I just don't think it's going to happen. But, and so get ready because you might see some double ups in the next week or two. Well, what do you expect? Holiday season, all that. All right, so, and then once baseball, college baseball starts, woo, there's going to be some double ups, I have to say. I'd like to go to Europe and to Africa. You may not see my channel for a while if I ever do that. But will I ever do that? I'd like to go to Spain and to Spanish Africa. Did you know that Spain still owns 2 parts of Africa today? Yeah, they do. And you can take a ferry from Spain to Spanish Africa. I'd like to do that. That'd be kind of neat. Last overseas European territory in Africa. Oh, well. They've been owning that territory since the days of the Crusades, too, by the way. The later Crusades. This was captured by the Spanish kings during the Reconquista. All right, they reconquered Spain and then started conquering Africa. All right, pushing the Muslims back. Well, that one's very good and I like it, but which one's better? And that's the key point here. There's definitely a caramel aroma here too. Like a Kit Kat bar, he has the caramel. That's there. Oh, I think I prefer the Albertsons. You say no. That's $4.99. That's $9.99. Oh, I'm just telling you, if I had to choose, and at this point I can't choose because I don't think the Albertsons still on the market. But I would go with the Albertsons. Yeah. Do I dislike the Rich and Rare Reserve? No, I like it, but it loses this contest. It really hasn't been doing that great. Pay $10.99 a bottle and it does okay against cheaper versions. That's not a good sign. I wonder what alcoholic beverages were invented in Africa. Oh, what's that one they have down in Southern Africa? A Shake that Anheuser-Busch bought from Miller, SAB Miller. Shake. It's like some kind of fermented. Oh, thing beer. They even said on the old, I used to love the SAB Miller website, this may not appeal to you. That's what it said. This may not appeal to you. Could take some getting used to. It's the European palate would probably be repelled by, Shake. It comes in a milk carton, like the paper, wax paper, milk carton. Yeah, I think that concoction was invented down there. And sorghum beer, I think, was invented down there. Yeah. I don't know too much. I guess the Egyptians were brewing beer in the beginning of civilization. So I guess beer, yeah. Talking about the northern top of, the northern part of Africa, different. We're not talking about sub-Saharan, two different worlds, really, two different continents in a way, except it's one landmass. You know what I mean? Like the Sahara Desert makes a whole different world. But anyway, okay, so I'm a little surprised about that because I didn't expect I would prefer, and I have a lot left. This Albertsons can do so many great taste challenges. I have 60% of the bottle left, or at least 55%. I'd say 60%. And it's been doing a great job for 2 years. So this is, I have to say, that the Albertsons Canadian whiskey might be the best value I've ever gotten in a alcohol brand. And the only other one that was as good is probably the Albertsons brandy, which was fantastic for what it was. So yeah, something about Sazerac doing a good job for Albertsons. So that's interesting. So get ready. Will there be a double up today? There could be. There could be. Could be. I'm going to think about that. And if there is a double up, it'll probably involve Seagram's VO. I think Seagram's VO is going to give Rich and Rare Reserve a bad, well, it's more expensive, so it should win. Seagram's VO should win. It's more expensive. So what do you expect? I feel bad about all the starving people in Africa. It makes me think about what Penn Jillette said. I'm not familiar with what he said. But it's a sad situation oftentimes. The Fertile Crescent he's talking about. Yeah, the Fertile Crescent would run from Palestine over through Syria, Lebanon, well, yeah, Lebanon, Syria, and then through Iraq, to through the Mesopotamia part of Iraq, down to the Persian Gulf or Arabian Gulf, depending on which viewpoint you take, whatever. So, all right, thanks for watching this video production. This challenge wasn't very challenging, but that does happen from time to time. And if I do the VO later today, I don't think that's going to be much of a challenge either.